Thank you, Lord Father. In the name of Jesus, we pray. Amen. And bless you, God. Bless you, Heavenly Father. Amen and amen. Hi, family.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our Wednesday night Bible class. It is so good to see everyone on tonight. Hey, everybody. Everybody, it says there's still people coming into the Zoom room. So we are so excited about our financial series that we are in. I'm going to go through a few short announcements. I am your announcer tonight. Okay, so as I stated, we are in our financial stewardship series for the month of September. The first one was totally awesome. I hope y'all got y'all notes. Let's see, I got my notes. I got my page and notes. Because we talked about it stops with us. So I am excited about this series. So we want you to join us every Wednesday in September as we go through our financial stewardship series. On Sunday, we are in full swing of our new sermon series. It's time to get offended. Oh God, this series is working some stuff on out of us, ain't it? So we want you, if you have missed the first two Sundays, go back and check out our Facebook page or our YouTube page, and you will be able to see what God is doing in our Sunday morning services. We want you to partner with us in prayer. Join us as we pray every Friday from 6 to 7 p.m. The phone number is available here on the screen as well as in our Church Center app. And this is where we devote ourselves in prayer as one body on a phone conference call from 6 to 7 every Friday. You can join in and you can invite others to join in as well. On this Sunday is our National Back to Church Sunday. So this is something that the world is celebrating, going back to church. So of course we had to jump in and do this as well. So we want you to invite your friends and family to church this Sunday, guys. So we're going to have coffee and donuts before service. So y'all don't have to stop and get your coffee. You can come on in unless you got to have a special, kind of blend or something. But come on in. We're going to have coffee and donuts before service. We want you to invite someone because we're going to be giving a prize for the person who has the most first-time visitors or the most returning guests. So make sure you have your whole row. So like I'm going to try to fill my row where I normally sit. I'm trying to fill that whole row. And then if you could wear your Power and Light shirts, if you have your blue Power and Light shirts, we're going to wear those on Sunday. So that's this Sunday, September 15th at 11 a.m. This information is also on our Church Center app. So next Wednesday, we have our worship on a Wednesday. It is almost here. So as you know, once a month, we come into our sanctuary as one and we join together and worship God. So next Wednesday is our time in person at 7 p.m. We will be in the sanctuary for an intimate night of worship. And we have a guest Pastor Corey Pearson, who will be with us, and we want you to come in expectation for what God's going to do during that time. And please invite somebody out. This is a good time to bring out the whole family, the kids, and everything. So again, we want you guys to come out and celebrate our Vision Celebration. Go ahead and lock that into your calendars. Vision Sunday is a day where we celebrate the inception of Power and Light Evangelistic Church, the inception of it. So God called this ministry out nearly 38 years ago. And so we want you to save the date as we celebrate with our overseers, Apostle Benny, Prophetess Geraldine Dozier, and we have our guest speaker, Apostle Doran Smith, that will be in the building with us. So that service is going to be at 3 p.m. We are still having our regular 11 a.m. service, but the celebration service will be at 3 p.m. And we want everybody to attend that can. And you can invite guests out as well for that. Next on the docket, because we are moving ministry. We always got something going on. So we have our prime timers group. This one is for you. The prime timers are headed out for an evening of fun. So they're headed to see the stage play Ain't Too Proud to Beg on Thursday, September 26th at 7 p.m. If you're interested in attending, please contact Deaconess Stephanie Ballard. Her name is on the flyer. And again, you can also get this information on our Church Center app, because we know it's not going to be up on the screen real long, right? You know, we got to hit it and quit it. So if you do not have the Church Center app, I admonish you to download it. So registration for our baptism is now open. So baptism will take place on Sunday, November 17th. You can sign up to get your kids baptized, or if you want to be baptized, and that's going to be November 17th. So you go to our Church Center app and you can sign up for that there. And last, but certainly not least, we have our marriage ministry. So Into Your Marriage is having a conference. So Thursday, November 21st through Saturday, November 23rd, for only $100 a couple for this conference. It's going to be filled with revelation, good times, great connections, and what you need to take your marriage to the next level. Even if your marriage is doing great, you can always do so much better. You can always grab you some more tools. You can grab you some more skills, some more, or just have fun with your mate for a time. So we are asking that if you are married, engaged to be married, seriously dating, go ahead and register. You can do this on our Church Center app. The total cost per couple, which is nothing, is $100 investment. We're asking for a $50 deposit due by October 6th. Okay, guys, so this is going to be totally, totally amazing. You want to invest into your marriages. And go ahead and tell somebody. If you're not married, you might know somebody married. Let them know how much fun we be having and how much revelation be coming forth in these couples events. So go ahead and invite somebody that is married that you know. And at this time, we are going to do our giving. It's time for us to sow our seeds as we do on Sundays and other days. This is a time where we can give back into the kingdom. This is the time where we can pay our tithes and our offering. This is also the time where you could continue to partner with us in our giving campaign as we are continuing the renovations down in the lower level for our children. If you guys were there on Sunday and took a walkthrough, you see that the ceiling has already been taken down. They got the whole walls framed out and different things like that. So it's some exciting things taking place in the ministry. You can see where every dollar is going. So we are thanking you for your continual giving into that project. And we're thanking you for your continual giving into Power and Light, because we are people funded and not government funded. So we ask that you could at this time search your heart, get your giving ready to sow. You can still sow through Cash App, $PLEC 86, and you can also sow through Zelle, Ourgivingpowerlightchurch at AOL.com. And if you need to, you can still mail in your tithes and offerings to the ministry. So we thank you, Power and Light, for being on tonight. Thank you for your giving. And we will continue to be praying that we will go to our next phase of our renovations for our youth lower level renovations. So at this time, we are going to go to our text to invite. Amen. So this is the time where as everybody that's on, let's see, it's 36 people on. So if everybody texts at least 3 to 5 people, and we get one of those people, 1 out of 5 people join us, we should be booming on tonight. There's room in the Zoom, because that's what my pastor said. So I want you guys to go ahead and text the invite, that last text message that you got that said, hey, click the link to join us. You could just copy that and look and see who you don't see on here. You can send that out to a sister, a brother in Christ, or a friend. And you can invite them in the room on tonight. So I'm going to send mine out. Let's see. Who else do I want to send to? Okay. I'm gonna give you guys a couple more seconds. I'm gonna invite the people out. All right, I got mine in. I hope you guys got yours in. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And at this time, I am going to turn it over to Pastor Shannon as we prepare for our midweek Bible class.
Good evening, everyone. Happy Wednesday. How are you? How you doing? Talk to me, talk to me. I pray that you are well, that your week has been amazing. All right. Let me see. Talk to me. How has your week been? I'm looking for your fingertips in the chat. How has your week been while you are inviting people out? I love it. Productive, peaceful. This is good. This is good. Hey, Chloe, can you stop sharing your screen? Because I'm going to put the thing up in a minute. How has your week been? Okay, 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 okay. All right, I got a couple more invites I was sending out. Give me 1 second. I sure did. I had a few more. You see my phone going whoop, whoop. I got a few more I was sending out tonight. All right, challenging. Okay, joyful. Okay, testing and trying. Okay, this is good. It's going. Well, the main thing is you're here. You're here. You're still alive, no matter how long, short, trying, challenging, joyful. Mercies are new every morning, and we're very, very, very excited about that. All right, so I think I'm done with all my invites. I was trying to see if I need to invite somebody else. Let me see. I think did I get everybody? I think I did. All right. Well, good evening. I hope you have your notebooks out. I hope that you've had some time to process Bible class from last Wednesday. How did you do? Let's talk about it. How did we do? Oh, I'm sorry to hear you're under the weather. How did we do with Bible class, our finances? What did we think about thinking through our relationship with our finances? How did that go? How did that go? Let's talk about it in the chat. What were your thoughts? Okay. You're making me nervous. How did we do? Really good. Okay, you stay focused. Okay, we got a winner chicken dinner out here. Okay. Anything else? How are we doing? What did we learn last week? You all know how I feel about that. How did it go? What did we learn? Okay, I love that. It stops with me. I think that's an excellent thing to learn. Okay, I was responding back to somebody who responded back to me about Bible class. Okay, give me 1 second. Then we jumping in. I don't know where it went. Okay. All right. So, got to get a budget. Okay, this is good. Didn't do an impulsive Starbucks buy. You're winning, Kevin. Okay, that is a big win. Started eliminating some things. I love this. Okay, that's okay. We'll catch you up. We'll catch you up. I was more aware of what I do with my 90. I love that part. So tonight we're going to take a deeper dive in, and it's going to require some work on you all's part because we want to hear from you. I want you to talk about it in the chat. We have some more statistics for you. We're in the middle of our financial stewardship. I love that I can't give to everyone in need. We're in the middle of our financial stewardship thing, and our mission and our goal is to be great financial stewards. The word of God says that he gives seed to sowers. That's a principle. It's a scripture. It's a foundational principle of finance. So if we're not sowing our seeds in the right spots, we're asking God to give us seed to the sower. You see what I'm saying? So we don't want to be asking God for something. We're not managing what we have well. So I'm going to share my screen. And we're about to jump in. I'm very, very excited. You definitely still have time to invite people to the workshop. Here we go. So we're digging in a little bit. We're going to talk about a couple of things. I love to give you guys data because I think it's really important for you to know where we are as a race. As shocking as it is, we need to know. We need to know. Because so often in 2024, I always say this, we're exposed to so much information, so much revelation, but we use very little of it. Like if you peel us back, how much of what we are exposed to do we actually use? So the mission is to increase your usage with every message, with everything that you hear. That is your pastor's mission. We want to increase your usage, okay? Please forgive me. I can't find my lip gloss. I think my dog took it. But anyway, there. All right. So here we go. So again, I love Deacon Chloe hit it dead on the head. It stops with us. Generational wealth and financial stewardship start with us. We cannot, and the previous generation did an amazing job, but it's our responsibility to do better because you see how far we were behind, okay? And as far as even understanding finances, so we can't use what we didn't know as an excuse to stay that way. We have to keep growing and evolving in our understanding and the knowledge we have about our finances. That is going to be critical for us to do. We have to do that, okay? So remember, you tell yourself, it starts with me. I'm not going to use what I do not know as my excuse for why I'm not doing. I'm going to actually apply these things even though they do not make sense to me, okay? So starts with us. So here we go. These are some statistics we talked about last week. I wanted to sit them here because I wanted us to see them again. 62% of African-American households have less than $10,000 in retirement savings. So we already know we did that. We did an example last week. We said, what is it? 48 of us on here now, right? If you split us down the middle and you took a few off, let's just do the numbers. I like to do the numbers so we can actually see this. 29 people actually, well, 29, 30 have less than 10,000 in a retirement on here. That's a lot of people. A lot of households represented. Nearly 70% of African Americans would struggle to cover a $400 emergency. If you do the numbers with all of us on this line on here right now on this Zoom, that's not good. 43% of African Americans have a rainy day savings compared to our counterparts. 46% of African Americans carry credit card debt. Almost 50% of us on this line, potentially based on this, have credit card debt. And then it talks about us being unbanked. So those are statistics from last week. This week, yes, I gave you eyeball emojis because this was interesting. Black adults are not financially prepared for the sudden loss of their main source of income. We asked if they could use, this is Pew Research, we asked if they could use 4 different resources to cover expenses for 3 months if they lost their income: personal savings, credit cards, loans from family or friends, or the value of their assets. Check this out. These are the things that you could use. I want you to think about yourself. If, God forbid, I lost my income for 3 months, would I be able to maintain my lifestyle by using personal savings, credit cards, meaning I have some availability on my credit cards, loans, family or friends, or the value of their assets? 45% said that they could cover their expenses for 3 months with personal savings. That's good. That's a little under half. So that means there's 49 of us on here now, a little bit under half of us could cover ourselves for 3 months of our with our personal savings. 37% said they could borrow from their family and friends. Do you see why when we talk about generational wealth starting with us, why this is so important? What they basically saying is they know that they couldn't borrow from their family or friends because they ain't get it. Then 28% said they would not be able to use any of the 4 resources that they asked about to cover those three months of expenses. I want you to think about that when it comes to financial stewardship. So a lot of times we think about our budget, we think it just impacts us. It's, we just trying to figure it out, but it impacts the generation after us. It also impacts our ability to retire when we want to. It also impacts how we teach and train and develop the people around us that are in our sphere on how to handle money. It's a big deal, and we want to make sure we continue to be diligent about working on that. I love this quote from William Feather. It says, "A budget tells us what we can't afford, but it doesn't keep us from buying it." Can I get an amen in the chat, right? A budget tells us what we can't afford. It's our borders and our boundaries, but it doesn't keep us from buying it. And we're going to dig into that tonight. Here's another statistic for you. The survey found that 83% of Americans say they overspend. 84% who say they have a monthly budget exceeded. So 83% of Americans, so let's do the numbers. That would be 40, almost 41 of us on this line are overspending every month or every day, we could say. What do you think about that? 83% are overspending every month, meaning we're spending more money than we actually have. Okay, so then let's go to the next one. 84% who say they have a monthly budget exceeded, which means we're not sticking to the budget. So that would be 41 of us on here are saying, I got one, but I don't stick with it, which is how we are overspending. So you see the numbers correlating. Of those who've ever gone over their monthly budget, 44% say they usually use a credit card to pay for the additional purchase they make when going over the budget. So I want you to think about this, because what I want you to see is when you saw, and we'll go back over that a little bit tonight too, but when you saw us talk about a healthy budget, and when you think about how we see money and our relationship with money, those are some of the things we talked about last week. But basically, we're in a day and age where people want us to use credit for what we cannot afford instead of you just can't afford it. Anybody guilty of using a firm have to pay? Klarna, Shop Pay, et cetera. Nothing is wrong with them, but here's the challenge with them. It's repeating a behavior that keeps us living above what we actually have the means for, if that makes sense. Like, it's great to budget our money out and do all those things, but then the question becomes, why can't we pay for it? Does it mean that we actually need to wait and save that same amount of money and then buy? Unless it's an emergency, right? Sometimes I done bought stuff on the firm. I should have just waited. I really should have just waited, but I didn't. We're going to talk about that tonight, right? Because our mission is what? It stops with us and then it starts with us. We want generational wealth to actually start with that, with us, right? And I know that these things are things you're familiar with, but I want you to sink in. If your children do what you do regarding finances, where are they? If your nieces, your nephews, your godchildren, the people the younger adults that may be in your life, if they do what you do with finances, how are they doing? I want you to think about that. Where are they at this point? You don't have to answer it, of course, not in the chat, but I want you to think about that, because that's really important. Because if we don't get the hang of this, how will they? So what are the components of a healthy budget? We talked about this a little bit. We talked about this quite a bit last week, and I want to go into this a little bit. So this is a snapshot of a healthy budget. Notice what is not in that budget is a whole lot of debt. You don't see credit cards in here, right? You do see a way of living, but you don't see all those things in there. That is intentional because unfortunately we've made debt a part of our budget. Isn't that interesting when you actually think about that? We have actually made debt a part of our everyday budget. Like it's just a budget. I'm sure you said, where's my bills at? But your bills are here. The ones you need are here. But what you don't see is credit card debt. Right? You see the trip, you see the clothes, you see the haircut, you see your retirement, you see your money for transportation, maintenance, you see your cell phone, you see everything that you need here. But what you do not see is reoccurring unnecessary debt that we shouldn't have because that's not part of a healthy budget, right? We know that it exists, so we're not trying to play crazy like we ain't got no other stuff we ain't supposed to have. But what we're saying is when I look at a healthy budget, I want to strive to get myself into these windows. Of course, this tweaks and moves, but we're going to talk about that a little bit. This is what it looks like. So when you look at what you should be able to do, this is what you should be able to do with your income. So this is a great rubric or something to bounce your income off of and say, how am I stewarding my finances? How am I stewarding my finances? Am I eating out too much? Maybe my car note is too high. How many cell phones do I need? Maybe I don't need 2 cell phones. Maybe I need one and an app phone number. Maybe my trip, maybe this time I can't go to Bora Bora. Maybe this time I got to hit Cancun and have an amazing time in Cancun and I got to save up for Bora Bora, or maybe I got to, wear my sewing a little longer, wash it and keep that scarf on a little longer, right? So again, it's talk about different things to do because the question is, what's the mission behind money? I want you to think about that. What's the mission? It's the short-term and the long-term goals. So think about it within yourself. Am I financially healthy right now? As the question asked in the study earlier from Pew Research, could I survive and keep all of my living expenses the same if I lost my income for 3 months? Would I be okay? Or would I start losing things? Just 3 months. I want you to think about that. Could I maintain my lifestyle for 3 months with what I currently have? And that's if your answer is no, that's cool. Our mission is we got to get there though, right? Because that's the beginning point of where we're really trying to go. Okay. So am I financially healthy? What are you all's thoughts on what you're looking at? I want to stop right here and hear from you because I don't want to, run through. What are your thoughts? Tess said he could survive for 3 days. I understand, Annabella. She said, I like a good layaway. Okay, this is good. This is good. Okay, so what are we thinking about what we're looking at? Are we thinking, man, this is a lot? I don't know. What are we thinking when we're looking at this budget? I want to hear from you. I'll give you some time. You can raise your hand or you can actually put it in the chat. But I want this to be interactive. This is good. So we're going to be talking about that. What do you do with the debt? Because basically, if you look at this, when we put ourselves in a position where we have debt, it has to come from one of these places. I think, Shane, daycare would probably go under, I saw something. Ooh, where could we put daycare? I would probably, daycare almost like utilities when you got children, I think you would probably have to tweak this for a moment. And I would even venture to probably say possibly under insurance, or I would put on insurance and utility, but of course you're going to have to tweak your percentages to make sure that it gets in there. Right. One of the things that I also say too, it was another question in here. I hope that helps. What happens if your income is cut in half? This is a great thought. We're going to talk about that because you're on where I'm going, because we're going to talk about what does it look like to live within your means. What does it look like to live? Yeah, I think insurance would be the best spot to put it in there. What does it look like to live above your means or to live within your means? And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. Brandy said I need a financial defibrillator because I end up on a monetary life support. I understand. Budgets are a work. It's hard when you go from working to disability. Absolutely. Yeah, but check this out. Think about it. We want to make a mindset shift, right? Chloe said, look like rice and beans. But I want us to make a mindset shift together. And that's the mission tonight. I got this up because I want you to look at it as a goal point, a place to get to, right? But also this helps you if you let a budget help you, if you let a budget do what it's supposed to do, the budget can really keep you on track for your future. Because you notice the budget hits all your things. Like, of course, you have those things like childcare, those things that are temporary, but they do last for some years. You have all these different nuances. But outside of those, they tell you what you can do. If you let your budget work, when you look up, you'll find that you're hitting all your points, right? You may not look exactly like this in hitting them, but you got to think about that. I love what Jackie Jake said. She said, I can survive 2.5 years of what I've saved. That is amazing. That's amazing. You want to hear from you. That's amazing. Right? So again, we want to look at this. Like, this is a healthy budget type. So you look at where you are, right? Because it don't mean, you may not be able to sell your house tomorrow because you're over budget. But you want to look at where you are and what things are looking like. Right? And you want to let your budget guide you. One of the things, Pastor, and I love about our budget, my budget keeps things so simple for me. When the money comes, it's pum, 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 pum. No questions asked. Pum, 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 pum. That's it. So then I'm not like, ooh, I should take that to the store and shop. Money already accounted for, already gone. What I got to shop with is this little piece right here. I already knew this is me. This is my lane. And so that helps you stay in your budget because why? When you look at all of this and you look at your future, like you think about it right now, what is the version of you that's 20 years older going to be proud of about how you spend your finances? I said that wrong, but you get what I'm trying to say. If you add 20 years onto your age right now, what are the decisions that you need to make right now to make him or her proud? To say, oh my God, I'm so glad you went on ahead and bit the bullet. One of the things I learned is with putting away extra money, you just have to do it. Because just like you find it for Starbucks, you find it for retirement. Just like you find it to go shopping or buy somebody a nice Christmas gift, you find it to put it in your savings account. Just like you find it for anything else, you find it for life insurance because you're never going to want to do it. You're going to always feel like, oh, that's later. I could pick that up later. I don't have to do that right now. But if you make those decisions and you just make them a part of your life, this is what I do. Nobody's going to be doing a GoFundMe for me. I got $50 a month. I eat it. I wear it. I whatever it. I spend it on games. Whatever I do, I got it. And this is more important than a game. This is more important than a bag. This is more important than clothes. This is more important than all these other things. So I have it. And oftentimes when it comes to committing things, we're in a society where we struggle to commit. So the idea of, oh my God, I'm about to get life insurance. We get unless it's through our job for $3.02. But we get to freaking out. But you got to do it. It is not negotiable. We can't be having people burying us and we children of the Lord. We ain't got to set them out real well. You know what I'm saying? But they got $50 million, but we can't be having people burying us. And we at Starbucks in the drive-through. Come on now. And we buying Jordans and we at the store shopping. No, we can't be doing that. That has to be a part of our built-in budget. So the younger you are, the sooner you start. Right. So I forced my daughter to do it. I'm like, you're getting life insurance and you're paying it. I'm like, and you're putting money away from your check. I don't care if your check is $30. 15 of it is going in here because I'm trying to catch her because, again, it stops with me, right? I'm not going to continue the same habits where we pretend like retirement, IRAs, life insurance, index funds, things that help us grow and prepare us for our future are not important because they're not right now. They're just as important. So when you look at this overall, I want you to think about, what does my budget look like compared to this? Take a screenshot of it, write it down, and begin to process it when you look at it. This may be a goal for you to get to, right? It may not be at this moment that you look like this, and that's okay. But the mission is, where am I? Am I hitting these things at all? Where am I looking at? So I want you to think about this, ways to track your budget. So we're going to hit this, and then we're going to move to the meat and potatoes of tonight's Bible class, because this is just so really important. So you've got several ways to track your budget. We're going to dig into this in depth when we deal with debt payoff. But spreadsheets is one way. There are tons of apps. We're in 2024. So what you will find is there are so many ways that you can keep up with your budget. There really is no excuse for us not to have one. We could do spreadsheets. You can do one on Google. You can do a Google sheet. You can do a Excel sheet. If you have a Mac computer, you could do numbers. You could do it on a sheet of paper. You can get a notebook and write it down every time you get paid. You have apps, tons of apps. There's an app called You Need a Budget. It's all kinds of apps with different ways. You can look at your bank account. They have things now, tools within your bank account that can help you manage your money. Those are the tools I always look at when I really want to know the truth about how much I've eaten out, or different things that we're working on. So you have tons of apps out there. You got your bank account. If you should have a bank account. You have your bank account. You can look in there and see they have little things to help you get started in there. Then you can go old school. This is how we started, cash envelope method. Now they got fancy on Amazon. They got little plastic things, a little glitter, and you can stick your money in. Back in the day, I just had a white envelope, groceries, this and that. And in 2024, if you're struggling to manage your money in a bank account, there's nothing wrong with you coming out and going old school and go get that money and spread it out differently, because you may need to start there to get discipline, to say that is for gas, that is for that, because you may not be balancing your checkbook and balancing your account, and not checkbook, I went old school, but balancing your account to make sure that you're not overspending what you have. That makes sense? She said, what makes something a budget versus just writing something down on paper? That is a really good question. So what makes it a budget is a budget is a roadmap for your money. It's a consistent roadmap for your money. A budget is when you look at your spending and you identify your average cost. Example, you know what your rent gonna be next month, or your mortgage. You know that. You write that down. Say, if you start on a sheet of paper, what's my mortgage? Okay, what's my car note? How much is my insurance? How much is my light bill, my gas bill, my water bill? How much am I spending on groceries on average? How much gas money am I using? So a budget is more of a roadmap laid out before your money comes. You already know these are the expenses. This is what you're spending. So that's kind of what makes it a difference versus just, to your point, writing something on paper. Normally I balance mine on paper, meaning when I say, for instance, because it may be off by $2, $3 or something like that. And I'm just a person, I believe every dollar should be accounted for, or you're not going to be able to find it. So I like to balance things down. So when things come, if it's like, oh, this was $30 less, I'm not going to be like, nice, $30. No, where's the $30 going? Am I going to put it on there anyway? Am I going to move it over here? Because money will fly out your pockets if you don't give it somewhere to go. Okay, so spreadsheets, apps, bank account, they have all kind of stuff with your bank accounts now. Cash and envelope method, if you're really struggling and you know you ain't gonna do right, go on to the bank and bust that down. You might have to go on back in the day when you have to go to the currency exchange, use your money orders and send it off, right? You got to do whatever you got to do to get a hold of it, because remember, we're saying that this stops with us. We are not going to be those people who look amazing outside and we ain't got nothing when you peel us back past what we got on our bodies. We don't want to be those people. We want to make sure that we steward what God has given us well, okay? Luke 14:28, and I love this. This is a critical component of budgeting. For which of you desires to build a tower does not first sit down and count the cost, whether he has enough to complete it. This is a critical component when it comes to budgeting. We have to pay attention to what we're signing ourselves up for financially. And we're going to get into, I'm not going to talk about the rest of what I was about to say, but we got to pay attention to what we're doing. Like, is this really something that I need to do right now? Do I have enough for this? I counted this up. Christmas is coming. I ain't gonna be able to hit this affirm right here because this one gonna take away from me preparing for Christmas. And then when Christmas come, I'm be trying to take a check. You see what I'm saying? And run to the store. And that ain't, I can't live like that no more. We can't do that. We've got to make sure that we steward our finances well. When you count up the cost, you think about the future. What's coming in 2 months? What's coming in 3 months? Yes, I want to take a vacation. But after I get back from vacation, are my bills good? Okay, they not. Okay, but so can I go on vacation and my bills be? Well, yeah, but I got to make some sacrifices now, push my vacation back by 2 months because I need to make sure that I'm not going on vacation with the last of the money I got, right? Or that I'm not thinking about the future and the other responsibilities and things that are going to come up in the future, right? So again, that's what we talk about in this verse about counting up the cost to find out if you got enough to do it. And enough is not always just what's in front of you at that moment. And this is so important when we talk about how we manage our 90%, because I believe with my whole heart, and I'm learning more and more, what you have is not the problem. That's not your reason for not being able to sow, give, tithe, bless people, travel on vacation, put money in your retirement. No, it's how we manage the 90% that we have. How we manage it is what impacts us the most. So it's not what you have, because what I have found as someone who knows a lot of wealthy people and someone who has been in those rooms, I am telling you, I've heard of people that have made $50,000, $60,000 in 1 week. I have seen them make hundreds in 1 month. I have seen them make a lot of it and have nothing at the end of the month to show for it. So it's not about what you have. So if you're thinking, I just need another job so I can make some more money, if you take your same habits with you to the new job, you're going to spend the same way. You're just going to have more money to spend. That's going to be the only difference, is you're going to spend more money the wrong way because you still have no roadmap for what happens with my money when it comes in. It doesn't matter. And I'm telling you, has anybody else witnessed that? Your income increased and so did your expenses. Like everything went up because you had more, but you still, at the end of the day, when you came up, you ain't had nothing left. You was like, what happened? I looked at my bank account one day. I said, no way, they're lying. They're lying. That did not come through this account this month. No, it did not. And they said, yes, ma'am, it did. It came through here and it went out because it doesn't have a roadmap. So it's important that you know, so you can feel good about that, because being a good steward of something means I manage it well, right? It covers its bases and I manage it well. So 29 says, otherwise, when he has laid the foundation, is not able to finish it. This is where we get into bills we can't pay. We done overcommitted ourselves financially, and now we can't swing what we said we could. We got 2 affirms, and one of them, we can't even swing that last payment without going into the grocery money. You see what I'm saying? Then it becomes something we cannot finish, right? So we want to do that. And then we don't want to be, as believers, people that don't steward our finances well and follow through on our commitments. That's what happens when we don't actually slow down and count up the cost. I love this quote. It says, it is not your salary that makes you rich. It is your spending habits. It's your spending habits. And we talked about last week our relationship with money. So we dug into that a little bit last week, because when we hear these things, sometimes you immediately start thinking, great, that means that I'm not gonna spend a dime. No, that's not the purpose of having money. It is for you to spend. It is for you to treat yourself. It is for you to enjoy. But what happens is when our spending habits are everywhere, we eat up the money on things we don't enjoy because we're not tracking our money. We don't know where it went. We don't know what happened last. We just out in the streets doing it. And so then what happens is then we find ourselves making a lot of money. Like, you ever got a raise on your job and couldn't find it, but you knew it was the extra $300 coming in your house every month? It's the spending habits that we have. They can't continue to increase because we have more money. Otherwise, we never get to that picture we talked about, where we have a healthy budget that covers all of our bases for now and the future. Remember, the money that you make right now, the check you're going to get on Friday if you get paid, is for now and the future at the same time. It is covering both of those things for you all at the same time. So don't look at, well, as soon as I get some more, look at What do I have and how do I make sure this can cover me now and cover my future? Because that's when we find ourselves not prepared to retire. That's when we find ourselves out there looking real crazy. Because why? We didn't look at our finances and make sure that I make decisions that cover me now and cover me in the future. Okay? Think about it. That's a yes. Where did the raise go? Because you didn't have the extra $100 left. Where did it go? What decisions did we make with it? Oh, that $100, boom, no problem. I'm increasing my money into my index fund. Boom, no problem. I'm getting a little bit more life insurance before I cross XYZ age because it might go up on me then, or I'm gonna do this with it, right? Just thinking about where your finances are going is really important. Proverbs 13:11 says, dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers it little by little makes it grow. This is where I believe we all struggle at, is the little by little makes it grow. We think the little is not doing nothing. We say, save $50. That's not no money. I need to save $3,000 to be on track for retirement. Yeah, but you're not saving 25 right now, right? So we got to start somewhere. So let's just start with the 50. Let's not wait till we get 1,000 or whatever this other number, because the number always changes because it never comes. So it's the little by little that makes it grow. So wherever you are, don't tell yourself, I hear what she's saying, but I can't do any of that. Yes, you can. Because I know you're doing something for yourself. Whether that's Starbucks, Dunkin' Donuts, you buying a shirt, you got a firm payment out there, you got some disposable income that you are using right now. Take some of that and make it grow. So I want you to think about that. Gathers money. What does that mean? This is so awesome because this is right in the scriptures. Gathers money little by little. You take what you have and you say, God, I thank you for what I got. It may only be $50, but I'm going to take this $50 and I'm going to stick it in this index fund. I thank you for this $50. I may not be able to get all of the life insurance I want, but my $50, if I can only get 15 grand, so I ain't got to have no GoFundMe, then guess what? I'm going to get the 15 grand, because for some people in your family, you may be the first person that got your own life insurance when anybody got to bury you. You just taught the generations after you something that, oh, what? Ain't nobody got to bury me. We don't got to pull the money together and call Judy. Everybody got to put $300 on Shannon's, yeah, huh? Instead of Zoom suddenly shut down, I'm leaving, right? How do you navigate increase in responsibility that actually slow down your ability to save? That's a great point. You look at them as temporary things, and then you also see what can you anticipate. Like right now, I'll give you a real life example where me and Pastor are. We have one college kid, right? We out here working 85 jobs, okay, and pastoring. But we have to cover her tuition, which is not small at all, right? So what we did though was we anticipated that responsibility coming, and we started making certain moves. So one of the moves we made was we were like, okay, we're gonna have to get some rental properties. This is before she got to high school. We started anticipating the responsibilities that were coming so that it would not impact our ability to maneuver. So we started doing things like getting rental properties, making certain things, putting a little bit of extra to the side, preparing for that responsibility that was gonna come. And then when it came, we thought we had enough. Unfortunately, we didn't. We miscalculated how much college costs. So we was a little off on that, but we still had a running start on it. And, God bless, and these college scholarships, all this other stuff started coming in to help us some. But I'm saying all this to say that with responsibilities that we navigate, normally we should be able to anticipate them. That's part of that long term and short term. So when we have the big bonus, we have the raise come, you start thinking, you know what, like now, we're already thinking. My middle daughter is in a freshman now. She told me she want to go to medical school. I said, my God. So first I was like, go, go, go. Then I said, oh, go, go, go. How much could that cost, right? So I started thinking proactively, like, okay, we got one about to go. Okay, this could be, again, a major increase in responsibility to do what we said we wanted to do, which is give them a really good start, you know, and right? So now we're already preparing. So now we're thinking, okay, what kind of moves and sacrifices do we make right now to prepare for her to actually have an opportunity to go to medical school if we needed to assist? Now, of course, we're preparing grants, you know, other things, scholarships, she got to do her part, but we're still preparing on our end to say, okay, because guess what? When she goes in, Lissa coming right behind her, my youngest, right? So they're going to be in college together. So you see how we're thinking further down the line. My youngest is not in high school yet, but it's already on the brain. Because I'm thinking, because now if we hit it right, ain't no volley, here we come. No, it's okay. How much of this can we treat versus how much we need to put to the side, because we gonna blink and we gonna be crying at another graduation, right? And now these two are not 6 years apart, right? They 2 years. So that means they're gonna be in there at the same time. You see what I'm saying? That means flights back at home. So we are thinking about all these things. So I hope that helps, Deaconess Deej. But we try to, as much as you can, you think about them ahead of time, and it helps you to navigate with the finances you do have to make better decisions. Because the other thing you keep in mind also is always your retirement and all these other different things. So I hope that helps. Dave Ramsey said it like this, and this is what we're saying. Budgeting is telling your money where to go instead of wondering where it went. Budgeting is telling your money where to go, meaning every dollar is accounted for. There is no fly money, free money, in the wind money, right? It doesn't mean you're not talking about treat money, but if it's treat money, is my treat money, here's a dollar amount, that I could do what I want to do with it. But that number is accounted for. I love what Tarot said. You have to be intentional about saving. Absolutely. Intentional, because you have different things you're saving for, right? So you can get into all of those things. So it's important that you tell your money where to go. You don't let your money come in account and you don't have it accounted for. It has to go somewhere that's going to help you do what? Hit those things we said earlier, your short-term and your long-term goals and needs, right? Because just because our kids going to college, we still got to eat. We still here. We still got to keep lights on, gas. You see what I'm saying? We still have to be able to take care of ourselves and them do that. So those types of thinking put more pressure on how we steward what we have, because we know in a moment, it's going to be the blink of the eye. We're going to be there dealing with this new responsibility. So make sure you're telling your money where to go, not chasing it. Don't chase your money. You tell your money where to go. So when you get paid this Friday, right now, your money should know where it's going. It shouldn't be like, oh, my money went. They took my money. Nope, you should know where your money is going so you can tell it where it goes. So then you don't have to feel that empty feeling that I have felt before, which is what happened to my paycheck? What happened to my money? Where did it go? I'm sick of this, and all of these things. You have to tell it where to go and point it in the direction and then send it. That way it's working for you and you're not trying to figure out where it went. Okay. Money is a tool to be used. So now we're going to take a deep dive together. Money is a tool to be used, nothing more and nothing less. Emotions should not drive financial decisions. So now we're getting into some things that I felt like as I was preparing, we really need to talk about. We're going to go into the mechanics of a budget. But as you saw in the data, 84% of people have a budget or have started some framework of a budget or plan. But what happens that we never follow through on the plans? We get emotional about money. And I think we don't talk about that enough when it comes to how we steward our finances, is that we steward them from an emotional place. How I feel today determines whether I eat out or eat at home. How I feel today. If I got up and I'm feeling good, then I'm going to go get me some chocolate covered strawberries from Edible Arrangements, which I just stopped doing. But you get my point, right? We let emotions drive our financial decisions, and that's not the place for them. There's very little emotion that you should engage in when it comes to your finances. That is something I had to learn and am learning about finance. Finance is logical. 1 + 1 is 2. 2 + 2 is 4. If I only got 4, I can't spend 2 over here because you see what I'm saying? So money, but it's a tool to be used. And this component is so important. I want you to think about it. How do I see money? Do you see money as a tool? Like something in your garage, something in your car in the trunk you use? Or is it more than that for you? I want you to think about that because it is a tool to be used when needed. It's nothing more than that. Money doesn't solidify your value. Money doesn't make you better than somebody else. The amount of it don't change nothing, right? Money, as they say, don't buy happiness. We can go down the line on all the things money is not. Money does not give you, it adds, the Bible says it is an answer, but an answer is a way, it's a tool. It's something to be used. It doesn't have anything to do with your identity. Like you are not the money that you make. That's something separate. It's a tool to be used, nothing more and nothing less. When we cross over, now we got a problem. I'm going to give you some examples of a crossover. Let me see. But need accountability even with check registry and spread. Yeah, no, that's real. I should be in excellent shape, but I'm not. I'm not a person for accountability. So accountability with finances is tough, but it's necessary, Kimberly. I think you're making a great point. It's absolutely necessary with finance. We have to have somebody we're accountable to that helps us see where we at. Because one of the things we will do, we are notorious for deceiving ourselves. We will be telling ourselves, I'm good, everything is good. I'm fine. The way I handle money is good. And it's like, good. Okay. Are you good for 6 months? Uh-uh. Okay, but you make boo, boo, boo. Oh, right. It's that part that accountability helps us, like you said, tighten up, even though, like you said, you're in a good place, but that accountability helps us go to the next level. So I think that's an excellent point. So I said we waste so much money. I realize I spend an average of $28 on food, tea, which equals over $10,000 a year. Listen, that's real. That's a really good example too of how quickly you talking about just $28. You think, $28. I had to look at myself and stop eating out. Today, I was out and I was on my way because I said, I done good. I ain't been eating out all week. It is time for Shannon to live and live more abundantly. And I got in that car saying, you going to live with that tuna and crackers at that house. That's where you're going to go. You're going to turn that car around and you're going to live at that house with that tuna and crackers. Get on back in there. And I was mad about it. I said, I don't want to do this. I said, but what do you want to do? I got some other things I want to do. So I said, turn that car around and get on back to the house. Don't be in there sitting in that parking lot waiting on people to open because you wanted a salmon sandwich. Get in that car and get on back to that house. And that's what I told myself. And I drove back, got the emotions out of it and said, does this make sense? Is this a good use of your money? No. Get on back. Right? So, you got that. But see, Kimberly, you got to change how you think about it. She said, how do you find a personal accountability? She said, I'm cheap and I don't want to pay for it. That's an investment in your future. Anything, I always look at this like this. When I pay for accountability, when it comes to anything, whether it's coaching, mentoring, I invest that money. The dividends are endless if the person is really the real deal about what they're doing, what they're talking about. Endless possibilities. They can't take that from me, and I can continue to use that information over and over and over and over and over again. So I would say that you want to make sure that you're not too cheap where you don't invest in the knowledge and accountability to help you tighten up. You think about it. 2 sessions with a person to give you financial accountability could put 15 grand more in your savings account or help you make a change with your retirement investments that could double your return. I mean, you know what I mean? So it depends on the situation, but wisdom is always worth investing in. Annabella said, if you're accountable with your money, why does it sometimes feel as though you're being cheap because you chose not to spend even when you have it to do so? Again, I think that when you're covering all your bases with your finances, you can do what you want to do. The key thing behind finances, again, emotions should not drive financial decisions. Here's some examples, and this will probably help some. I grew up poor. My parents didn't have a lot of money. They struggled when I was young. I had an experience where I was down to my last 2 cents, and I said I would never come back here again. Right? And I made this vow. And so now I have this extra unusual emotional anxiety about money. It ain't that I don't have none. Now my emotions have gotten into it and they're driving my financial decisions. So all emotion is not driving us to spend. Sometimes it's driving us not to spend when we should, not to invest, not to travel, like go on vacation. Why you going 5 years and you're not taking a break? You're not using your vacation days. You pent up at the job talking about I got to get that money, right? But mentally you're going to break down. That's why they gave you vacation days, because you need to take them to regroup, connect with your family, different things like that. So emotions driving our financial decisions are not always to spend. Sometimes it's not to spend when we should have money allocated. When you look at the budget, it covers everything. We should take care of ourselves. Budgets are designed to make sure that we can treat and take care of ourselves as well, not just bills, but all those things. Date nights, buy yourself some clothes. You can't be running around here looking all toe down, talking about, but I got some money though. No, not in every season of your life. You take care of yourself in your budget with what you have allotted, but neither one of those things should overtake the other, if that makes sense. So I think you've got to look at how you if your emotions are tied into your financial decisions. How do you find a person? Oh, to be accountable to. Okay, you said you're a senior citizen too. What I would suggest is find financial planners, people who you can have like an annual session with, who will help you, who are licensed, and they can help you go through your goals. Because really, finances are about a goal. There's a mission. Again, money is a tool to be used. So there's a goal and a mission at hand for why you're doing what you're doing. So having that check-in, it could be every 6 months, to see, okay, am I still on track for where I'm going, or do I need to make some changes to get there faster, or do I need to pull back on some things, or where am I, how am I doing? Those would be great people to invest in. It is a cost, but it's well worth it to get that information, where you can find out, is it some tax savings? You can look online, you can look on freelance sites. You can even sometimes check in with sometimes like Vanguard, Fidelity, not Fidelity, yeah, Fidelity, the financial company. They have stuff on there, and can point you to people. Sometimes the banks actually have people who deal with financial planning right in the banks, or can point you in the direction of people that are licensed to do that, to give you pretty much suggestions. You don't have to make any changes with them, but they can just help you see, okay, where are you trying to go with what you got? What are you trying to do? And can let you know your lanes for doing it. So think about it. I want you to answer this. Have you been emotional with your financial decisions? Has anybody willing to admit you've been emotional with your financial decision? Okay. So we see what's happening. It's not that some of us don't have a budget. It could be that we're letting our emotions get in our spending, and they're not helping us at all. We're making emotional decisions with our spending. It could be decisions out of fear. It could be we scared and we moving around like we scared. Everything is, I can't spend $2, right? I remember God showed this to me, because mine in one area was not. I would get nervous if my account would hit a certain amount. I'm talking about like freaking out nervous, where I would be panicking about $2, $3. And it was almost like I felt like I was down to nothing and we were going to lose everything. In that moment, I recognized that there was a lack of trust in God, but it was also coming from previous experiences that I was letting it drive my financial decisions to limit me in some places from taking risk because of past experiences. They ain't had nothing to do with right now, right? So all of those different things, we have to think about those things, but that does not mean we don't be a good steward. Again, if you look at the healthy budget, at all times you're trying to put something in all these buckets, right? So if you're doing that, then you should be able to cover your stuff if you got a plan. So again, emotion should not drive financial decisions. Sad, happy, don't got nothing to do with whether you pay your bills or not. You depressed today, that don't mean you don't pay your rent. You celebrating, so you tired, so now you just gonna go eat up all the money at the crab boil place. No, No, we can't do that, right? We can't do that. And we can't just say, yeah, that's just how. No, we have to say, you know what? It stops with me. I know when I'm emotional. And guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get some accountability behind me. I'm gonna ask my friend, okay, friend, I'm emotional today, so I want to do. Nah, friend, you just said you wanted to go to Bora Bora in February. How you gonna do that if you out at the place? You see what I'm saying? And thinking things through, so you don't let your emotions get into your finances. And you want to think about, why am I? What's the root of that? And you want to pray and ask God, help me, God, to get my emotions out of my finances, because that's not going to work. That's not going to work. I can't be emotional. Sometimes mine is at the grocery store. When I feel great, I'm like, oh, groceries for everybody. Let's just have a big old. No, let's do a big old in this budget. In this budget, this is what we're doing within there, right? I hope this is helping you. Why is it important? Hold on. Why is it important about this? Here's the deal. God dropped this revelation on me, blew me away. You remember the scripture that talks about money is the love of money is the root of evil. Love is about emotions sometimes, right? That's why you have to be careful of your emotions, because when your emotions get in it, your relationship with money becomes too intense. Money is a tool. Whoever loves money never has enough. Ecclesiastes 5:10. Whoever loves wealth is never satisfied with their income. This too is meaningless. So it's basically telling you that money is not going to give you any type of fulfillment. It's an answer. It's a tool to be used, but it don't have no meaning past that. It doesn't substantiate any of those things, but when we get too emotional about it, we start to love it, we start to worship it. And that's where it talks about 1 Timothy 6:10, the love of money is the root of evil, because now we done crossed over in our relationship to money, to it trying to fulfill us. And money is not designed to do that. And that could be fulfill your fears for never being poor again. It could be fulfilling your fears of whatever it is. You need everybody to know you done arrived now. So now you got to buy all the things so people can know you would thing, right? All these different things we do with it, right? It says, for the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some covet after, they have erred from faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows, because we start chasing money for more than it becomes emotional. That's what it's talking about when it talks about the love of money is the root of all evil. Money is not bad. There's nothing wrong with money. It's a tool that we use, but it is when we're overly emotional about it. Okay. So let's go. Am I living above my means? Here are some signs that you and I could be living above our means. This is facts. This is not emotion. So immediately what happens when we talk about factual things, immediately excuses start coming up. This is just what it is. Am I living above my means? Number one, you live paycheck to paycheck. Living above your means, meaning that you're in a place where you're living in a space that you don't actually have the finances to cover your expenses. Number two, your credit score has dropped below 600. And if you know anything about what a credit score is comprised of, credit scores are comprised of your debt ratios, late payments. They're comprised of all these different things. And most of them have to do with how you utilize your debt, not that you have it. So if you have a credit card and it's fully maxed out, you're going to see your credit score drop significantly because of your usage. Or if you don't have the money to make your payment, you're going to get a late fee, right? So those are the things that drop your credit score down. So overutilization, late payments, charge-offs, got something, you didn't count the cost to see if you could finish it, paying it off, and now you got that out there. Those are the things that are signs you're living above your means. Number three, you've stopped your retirement contributions. You don't contribute in any way to your long-term plans and future that you don't want to always work. You stopped your retirement contributions. That could be a sign, or you haven't even started them. A big portion of your income goes to housing. Again, you're living above your means, right? If you look at your gross income and you find yourself where 60, 70% of your income is going to where you live. We're talking about your gross income. You're living above your means, meaning you're living someplace that is above where you currently are right now. A big portion of your income goes to housing. Your savings account isn't growing. Somewhere you're living above your means. It may not be your house. It could be how much you maybe spend on your car. It could be that you need to check into your car insurance to see if maybe you can get it down. It could be maybe you don't need an extra cell phone. It could be certain things that you look at when you're living above your means. Right. And we're not talking about the fact that you make sacrifices. Sometimes you got small windows of time where you got to pinch it on down and push something through that you didn't maybe have an opportunity to plan for. That's different. But we're talking about in your day-to-days, you out here bad. Okay. Your savings account isn't growing. You've been charged an overdraft fee more than once this year. Now that happens every now and again, maybe you had to move the money over, or you had it, stuff happens. But when you notice yourself living on overdraft fees, like you're living on it, somewhere along the way, you're living above your means. Either you've misallocated some money to some emotionally driven decisions, or you don't have it and you should not have gotten that in the first place, right? So maybe it is time for you. Maybe you got to move out that apartment and maybe you can't do 3 bedrooms. Maybe it do got to be 2. So you can get in your means, start building your savings account, wait for God to bless you with a raise, be comfortable. You don't have to live under stress, and then go back to your 3 bedroom, right? So you got to be looking at this. Am I living above my means? You never set a budget. Could be a sign that you're living above your means. You're leasing a car that you can't afford to buy. And everybody has different thoughts on that, but I want you to think about that. Am I living above my means? You're only making minimum payments on your credit cards. You can't pay them off because you're pretty much if they say $2, you at $2. That could be a sign you're living above your means. You don't have an emergency fund. If one thing goes wrong, you are in a really bad position. As the data said, $400, you are in trouble. That's not the way God designed us to live this life. We don't have an emergency fund. Your bills are spiraling out of control. You pretty much just stop answering the telephone. You saying, call me later because I ain't got it, and I ain't got it, but you keep signing up for things. So you could be saying I don't got it on one end and then you got an affirmed payment going on the other, right? Living above your means. And again, when we talk about this, all of this stuff is temporary. If you think about when you first started working your job, right? You was only making whatever you was making. I remember when I first started, I was making like $6.75 or something like that. And I thought I was out here living, okay, when I was working, because I think minimum wage was $5.15. And I thought I was out here doing it. And I went from $6.75, and guess what? My income continued to increase. So I'm saying, I'll just say where you are today does not mean that you will be there next year. That's what sometimes gets us when it comes to living above our means. We have this fear like, if I don't get it right now, I'm never going to be able to. That's not true. It just may not be for this moment. You may have a year in a smaller place. It's going to be okay. It's only 12 months. You're going to blink. It's going to be over. Now you're in a better place. If you do decide to move or do something different, now you're not living above your means. Does that make sense? So here's another visual of it. It says you're carrying credit card balances from month to month. You're stressed out about your bills. You can't save 5% of your monthly income. You don't have a rainy day fund. Your mortgage or payment or rent is above 30% of your income. You lease a car you can't afford to buy or finance. Your financial decisions are influenced by your friends' spending habits. I want to hear from you guys. What do you all think about this? Do you feel like these are really signs that you could be living above your means? And what are some things you think you can do? Like, say if you found yourself here, or maybe you were there and you've worked your way out. What did you do? How did you get things to the point where you stopped living above your means? I want to hear from you guys. You can raise your hand too. I want to hear from you. It's hard, right? Because you feel like you working and you should have certain experiences and you should this. And a lot of times we're getting things before we actually have the means to get them. I was reading a book and it was talking about the psychology of money, and they were talking about how we quickly increase our expenses when we make more money, when we actually need to wait until we're way past there to increase our expenses. Latanya said, these are signs I thought about downsizing, but I'm going to miss the room. I know that's a real thing. But you know what? A lot of times we make decisions like that. We always think they're forever, and they're temporary. They're not forever. They're just temporary. Temporary moves we make to better position ourselves for 20 years from now. Yes, Jackie Jakes.
I used to like live from paycheck to paycheck. And I mean, I really should not have been living from paycheck to paycheck, but I was. Because for some unknown reason to me, it was like, I'll pay all my bills. And then it was like, oh, I just have this money, right? Like I wasn't supposed to have money for whatever reason. And I had the tendency of not using the money on me, but giving the money to other people. And making certain that they had. So that would cause me to live from paycheck to paycheck until I got married. And my husband's like, that's dumb. Like, that makes no sense because our money ain't going to become nobody else's money. It ain't going to happen. They just going to do it out. But anyhow, but I had to learn how to say no to people. And I still struggle with that sometimes, but I know that it's not my job to take care of everybody. So, and one thing that I do is I make certain, first and foremost, a lot of my bills are on automatic pay. So
write that down. That's a good tip.
I don't even think about them. And my other thing that I do is I have money going into separate accounts. Now, I'm not the person who will splurge a lot. Like, I don't eat out at lunch, period. I don't do it. I work for $1 billion firm that feeds me all the time. So okay, I eat their lunch.
I was going to say, tell us the secret because I'd be struggling. Okay, that's good.
So that's I eat what they have.
Take advantage of that.
We get free coffee, free snacks, free drinks, free everything. So I don't go to the store and buy snacks. I don't snack during the day anyway, but yeah, I just utilize what I'm given at work. You know, if they're having a lunch, I'm going to eat that lunch.
We got some questions in the chat, Jackie. They said, first of all, are they hiring? Because I was going to ask you the same thing because I love Feed Your Well. Okay. Deaconess Stephanie said, Jackie, you got my husband looking at me. I guess she was going to say sideways about the, but I think you made a great point when you said, number one, about auto pay. I live by auto pays because I'm like, if you could swipe it at Starbucks, you can pay your bill. So as much as I can, I put it on auto pay, and then I have like, now I got fancy where I know I wrote me like a little thing where I know what's coming the next week. Like, these are the 4 auto pays coming out. This, you know, so like that to kind of offset. But I love that auto pay, set it and forget it because you know you signed up for it. But to your point, you got to count the cost of what you signed up for to put it on auto pay. If you're nervous about putting an auto pay, it could be because you're living above your means. And I was going to ask you, how did you make the transition from, I know you said your husband, but in your thinking, how did you keep that or get that discipline, that habit where you kept it going? Like you know what I mean? Where you didn't go back to, I'm going to spend all my money on, because for you, it was given to other people, but sometimes it's shopping for other people, eating out, you know, traveling. It could be all kinds of things. But how did you make the shift in your head where you kept being consistent with it? Because you said something in chat that was really awesome, where you said you could live for 2.5 years off of what you have saved.
Yeah, I can.
That's amazing.
The shift came too. You also have to get out of the poverty mindset. And I kind of had the poverty mindset. Although I was helping other people, I still was broke. You know what I'm saying? And I felt like, okay, it's okay to be broke because I helped somebody. No, you have to not think like that, because that's broke people think that way. Honestly, they do. I've worked with today I work with millionaires and billionaires. They ain't broke because they ain't helping nobody, but not like that. They probably helping people. I'm just kidding.
No, but
But
you made a good point. They're helping them within a budget. Like
they helping them get the tools to do better.
Yes.
And not financing whatever they have going on. Because actually, I used to have a financial planner. And after my husband passed, he actually set it up where I had a financial planner. He left a trust and said, because he told the executive of the estate told me, said, Kevin did all this because he knew you would be broke tomorrow because you would give all the money away. So he made certain you couldn't do that. But yeah, because I probably would have been paying everybody everything.
But you hit it dead on, I think, but you hit it dead on. You said the poverty mindset, because part of that, we only think about surviving. We never think about tomorrow.
Exactly.
We only think about today because we don't believe that we can actually have more. So all our decisions, to your point, are based on today. So like you said, we'll give away money or we'll do different things, and we're only thinking about today when we do it. I think that was good. So Jordan said, auto pay has saved me. Deacon Steph said, auto payments increase your credit score and boost your credit limit. Some of them sure do. That's true. Tria said, I use an app called Bill Organizer, a lifesaver. Oh, I like that. I'm gonna check that out. Kimberly said, me too, had the means and got broke paying off other people's bills. I just stopped a couple years ago. See, that's real. Because you ultimately enable the same behavior again, is what you actually do. You actually end up teaching somebody by accident that it's okay that you do that, because even if you do, you got me, I'm your bank, I'll come through for you. So then you, in essence, reaffirm that it's okay for a person to mismanage their finances. It's a difference when, people have an emergency, something really, really, really real happen, then I just spent my money, so now I can't pay my cell phone bill. Like, you spent it, so you must not want to talk on the phone. That's my thought. You must not want to talk on the phone then. It wasn't that important to you, So I think we're hitting on something really critical. I thought that was excellent. Deacon Stephanie.
So for me, it was a point in my life I did live paycheck to paycheck. And I think we didn't have, and I was still giving. And then we had got placed in a situation, and it was a really, really bad situation. Like you said, who will help you? Did you have a credit card to help you? Did you have any savings? And it was none of that. And I prayed and I promised God, if we ever got out of that situation, that I would never put us back in that situation again. And just the feeling I had when I had to sit at the table with the person that I had to sit with, and they treated us so bad, like we just made some bad decisions. We just this, that, and the other. But in reality, I had lost my job, and it wasn't due to me, it was due to whatever was going on at the job. And it was rough. It was a rough season. But when we got out of that and God opened up doors, I knew that we weren't going to ever go back there ever again. And you just have to be intentional about putting things up. You may have to, like, if you got to have different spots. So you got to have a couple different kitties. So that way, if you got to go to it and get something out of one kitty, but you don't touch this one, this one you just don't touch. You just you gotta get intentional. And sometimes it can be hard, because when you see stuff, I'm an Amazon girl. I may see, I'll be like, oh, I need this, I want this. And when you didn't have and couldn't have, you want to have.
Yes. So, and you want to have it right now.
Absolutely.
That's not real.
Absolutely.
So you hit it dead on. And I think you hit something that happens to us when we finally do have, we think we're supposed to have it all right now because we didn't have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for me, like, if I do something on a firm or something, I'll do it but I'll go right back in within like a week or two and just pay it out. But I like if I do something like if I do an Airbnb, but it's like a group of us going in, I wait till I gather everybody money. I'll secure it, but then once I gather everybody money, then I'll just pay it out.
Because I think this is really good that we're having this conversation, because you got to get to the root of your stuff so you can see why you're doing what you're doing. Because again, it's because emotions have 9 times out of 10 got into money. Let's go into the chats. Yeah, we can't pay other people bills. It don't mean we can't be a blessing, but again, when we go back to a healthy budget, what did it have in there? You have an allotment for giving, and if you're a giver, maybe your allotment is higher. Maybe you're doing not 10%, maybe you're doing 15% because you like to give. If that's the case, then you stay within your 15. That money is for me giving, doing things like we give to kids in another, I forgot the name of the place, but we got a little son somewhere that we be giving money to. Help him wherever he at, I forget what part of the world he in, but that we give to things like that. So we give, but it's in that same budget. We're not going outside of that budget. That is the giving budget. That's it, right? This is the giving budget. This is the retirement. And so that's what is really great about a budget. It keeps you in there. Trish said the bill organizer is $6 with a one-time fee. That's amazing. That's really good. Elder Angie said, yes, automatic pay is my best friend. The the one bill that's not on automatic, it'll catch you every time if the bill ain't automatic. I'm telling you. But you can't put it on automatic if you ain't counting your cost stuff. So you got to count and see what you got. Annabella said, I started paying half of the bills before the actual due date. The bill not auto paid and then beforehand. Yeah, so you got whatever works for you. I would not have a lot to pay. This is good. Okay, Deacon's Lawyer said every dollar is a good app. That is a good app. Every dollar is another good app too. It can connect to your bank account, keep track of your spending. Is getting a HELOC, a smart money move to pay off debt. So I think with anything, when you're using something else to pay off debt, you've got to look, and we're about to talk about that next week. But you got to look at the interest rates. You've got to calculate the fees associated with it. Does this make sense? Is this going to be something that I'm actually going to be able to use? Or did I just extend it and add more interest? So you got to look at your APRs and kind of a lot of different things to do it. Not a bad idea, but you got to look at all of it and say, okay, or do I just hunker down and make this happen? What do I do with this? So not a bad idea. You got to check your interest rate, if fees, expenses, how much is it going to cost me? How long am I going to have it? Sometimes, you pay your credit card off, you don't close it, and you run it back up again. And now you got the credit card and something else. So you got to look at all of that stuff before you, what's the name? But I would definitely look into it and see what we're looking at. So I want to do this, and then we're going to get to the people with their hands up. How do I fix this? If I've been living below my means, how do I actually fix this? You take action to change your lifestyle. This is a hard one because we like to live a certain way. Again, when we read the thing about 10 middle things of distinction, middle class, we love to be comfortable. If it's going to throw my comforts, I'm like, I like to drive a certain way. I'm not going back to no Beta, or I'm not going to do this. But you've got to think about it. What actions will you take to change your lifestyle? Still hit all your areas and change your lifestyle. What will you do to change your lifestyle? What actions will you take? Break the cycle of revolving debt. Keep better track of how much you owe and keep an eye on it. Take a hard look at your monthly expenses and make sure you're not paying too big of a percentage of your paycheck towards your rent or your mortgage. Get into the habit of saving. Even setting aside 5% of your income make a big difference over time. Consistently pay down your credit card debt or risk owing thousands more. So look at what you're doing. Identify, is there some areas? For me, I already told you guys, mine was eating out. I had to stop. I had to make an action and say, stop it. You can, but you should not. That's not the best use. You want to update your bathroom and you talking about you can't. You could have had 80 gallons of paint by now. You could have did the whole house. You could have all the paint for the house, buy all the food you done spent and had some change left, right? So I have to be accountable to myself and say, you cannot eat out. You talking about, if I could just get my bathroom updated, you could have been had it done. So I had to have that conversation with myself, right? How do I fix it? Take action. Don't keep talking about it. Take action on it. Then I'm going to come to you guys in a minute too. I'm going to wrap. We're almost done with the slides. Budget and wealth builders. Discipline and delayed gratification are great budget and wealth builders. It's not that you don't have a budget, it's that there is no discipline, and discipline is a practice. The more you practice it, the more you get better at it. Love the suggestion that Deacon Jackie, auto pay. Practice. As soon as it comes in, it's not my money to be spent. This is my money to play with and go to the store with and buy my kids things with. This is the money that I have to give and sow over here, because that has to be a component of your budget, right? This is the money that I have for housing. This is what I have for whatever it is, for haircuts, or this is what I have for here, right? Discipline and delayed gratification. I want to focus on this a little bit, and then we're going to go to the people that have their hands up. Why do we struggle with delayed gratification? Deaconess Steffi hit it a little bit when she was talking. Why do we struggle with delay? Why don't we want to wait? We think it's something wrong if we wait. And I think it goes back to sometimes looking at our neighbors. I think inadvertently, sometimes without us even knowing, subconsciously, we're comparing ourselves on what we think we should have. And we don't even know we're doing it. Sometimes it's not that you're looking at your neighbor like, oh, I want what they got. Sometimes you just feel like, oh, I can have that too. Why do we struggle with delayed gratification? I started making myself wait on purpose. So it was things I could have done for myself that I said, no, we're not going to do that. What you're going to do, you're going to save up and you're going to wait till it's a treat for you so that you actually appreciate it. And that's what delayed gratification caused me to appreciate things more than just, oh, just go buy it because I can. No, I'm going to wait. I'm going to save this up. I'm going to put this to the side, even with my own personal money. I'm going to put this to the side and then I'm going to buy it. The best feeling in the world. Best feeling in the world. It would be like if I wanted because I love handbags. So I'd be like, okay, I'm going to buy myself a handbag. Okay, you want a handbag? You work for it. This is what you do. And then I would start putting my money to the side. It was the most exciting trip to the store ever, every time I do it, because I know I saved up for this bag. I worked on my discipline to get here, not to spend that money eating out, not to go buy me a shirt, not to go do this for so-and-so, but to save this for this one thing, right? It's an important practice, delay gratification. Because Chloe said, I think we deprive ourselves for a long time instead of treating ourselves in small ways that make us overdo it. That's the key. That's why your budget has to include taking care of you, because you always take care of yourself. You never leave yourself out of the budget. You're always supposed to be in there. I told you guys last week, me and Pastor had $25. That was what we had each to treat ourselves. And we was so happy about it. We was ecstatic about our $25 each because that was what we had. But guess what it kept us from doing? From overdoing it, because we didn't go, I'm gonna put all my money into paying these bills off. I'm finna be on this. No, I'm eating peanut butter sandwiches every day. We ain't buying no groceries. We eat it oodles and noodles. And you take yourself to this extreme that you can't maintain. And after a while, you start protesting your own plan. And now you out in the streets at the crab boil place talking about crab boils for everybody. Johnny, the little kids and the dog, everybody got a crab boil, right? Because you've just gone too far. Deacon Steffi said, I feel like I worked hard and I should have the things I wanted when I wanted them, but then I grew up. Now it's delayed. Absolutely. I think that's good. Like, again, we can wait. I always tell me, you can wait. I did made a mistake. This is my last confession. Get y'all out of my business. But I wanted to do a garden. And I was like, you know what? I'm just bad at stuff now. So I bought all the stuff from Amazon. I said, why would you buy that? You can't garden in September. Why would you even buy that? And I was gonna say, well, you know, now I got it because I'm a pre-planner packer person. I said, no, what you gonna do? You're gonna take it back to the store because that's not a good use of the cash flow you got. Take that back to the store and you're back when you get ready to do that. But you don't need that right now. You don't need to have it sitting in the garage waiting on you when the season change. No, you could be putting that money to use for something else. So I sent it all back, including the seeds. I kept one bag of seeds, but I put all the rest of them back because I said, you're not going to be able to do anything with this. Delayed gratification is critical. It's not forever. It's just right now you're waiting. All right. Thank you, Kim. She said she liked my business because it's helping her. Thank you. All right, Samsung, what are your thoughts?
Oh, was that me?
Yes.
This is Nick Jackie. So,
Hey.
hi. Um, uh, I'm one of those people. I do have automatic payments coming out of my account, and that's a really good thing too. But it's those payments that you use, those purchases that you use with your debit card, here and there and here and there. So I'm kind of old school, and I still keep a check register, and I put everything that I buy in that register. And because those are the purchases that can get away from you. You know, you buy uh you at the store and you use your debit cards. I've seen some people don't even get their receipts. And so what I can say that in keeping track of everything that I have a budget. I do have some things that are auto pay. I pay everything online, and some things I just have them take the money out. But I can tell you at any given time how much money I have, and I balance to the penny. And it's
Wow.
probably a throwback from being in banking, but I would caution people who are using those debit cards and they're making those payments. Keep up with what you're spending it on, because those are the payments, those are the purchases that can get away from you. Because it's like maybe $10 here, $15 here, $2 here, but it adds up. So you do want to, if those apps are doing it for you, okay. If you want to go old school and actually write it in a check register, I don't write checks, but there's a lot of transactions that I do with the card, and I write those down and I balance all the time. It's just a habit.
I think that's an excellent point that you're making, Deacons Jackie, especially when you talk about that, because with debit cards and Deacons Chloe just put this in here, consumers will spend up to 83% more when using a card versus cash. I think things are moving so fast that we're not paying attention to what we're swiping and we're not keeping up with it. So, when you authorize today and then tomorrow it fall off and you done bought something else and thought you had a balance, you're absolutely right when you say it's the additional expenses that we have. It's the additional things past our auto pays. We have to be careful. So, like, one of the strategies that I use, and we're going to talk about this stuff in a minute in the next Wednesday, but one of the strategies that I use is actually having separate. I have a bunch of bank accounts, and that's almost my envelope system, where it says if it's $30 in here, that's it. That's your $30. You swipe it down, you out. We have our account set. Ain't no auto pay, pick it up, auto draft, swipe it, take it anyway. No, if it's gone, it's gone. You shouldn't have spent it. And so, like, little things like you said, and you got to pay attention to all the little debits, little app purchases, and just all that stuff. To your point, it starts to eat up your money. And next thing you know, you can't figure out where the money went for your bill or different things, like you said, because you're not looking at it. So I think that's an excellent suggestion there. Chloe said, you feel the pain when you give a $20 bill and get $1 and some change back. You do. You feel differently about it, which is why we have to be careful about it. If you can slot your money out, it makes you think differently about what you're doing with it. iPhone 23, you are next.
Okay. Hello. Hey,
Hey.
Pastor. This
Hey.
Elder Yolanda.
Hey.
So what I was finna say is a little bit of what Jackie was saying in terms of, so I took a finance class, and when I took it, my teacher told me, he said, write down everything that you spend your money on for a whole month, and then look at what you spent your money on, and then you'll see where you're wasting the money. And so I did that. It was a class assignment. And ever since then, it changed my whole life. Like, I buy things, but when I buy it, I know what I bought. I know how much coming out my account. And like, I have a bill account. Don't nothing come out that account but bills. And it makes a real it keeps you on track where you're not struggling to buy things, and you can actually buy the things you want. And then far as like can you live off your fight? If something happened to your job, how would you live? That's another thing. I lost my job and I was able to live for 1 year.
Wow.
No not having no money coming in. I didn't have like what you call that? The
Unemployment.
unemployment. They didn't even give it to me, but I was able to live. And the craziest thing, I was able to buy more when I didn't have a job, and that's that increase from God, than I was when I was working, because I started looking at my finances differently. And so I just wanted to piggyback on Deaconess Jackie. It is important to keep up with them small things, them potato chips, the M&Ms, all of that add up. And it will, them $20. I was just telling a young lady, you save like $21 a day within a year. If you do $41 a day, you'll have $10,000 at the end of the year, starting from January to December. But it's every day you have to put $41. And I was telling her, I said, I spent $12 today on Dunkin' Donuts, and I spent for my lunch, I spent like $12. That's almost my $41. And I'm saying that to say, it's just, we be thinking you got to have this massive savings. It's the little money that makes the big money at the end of the day. That's all I have.
It's absolutely true. And I love what you said. I think that's a great homework assignment, is to look at the last 30 days of your spending. Like, actually look at it. Look at where it is. Because sometimes we write budgets that are not actually aligned with what we spend. Like, I remember years ago when my car used to take gas, I was like, I spend about like $25 on gas a week. I got to looking at that thing. I said, oh, I'm $50 a week on gas. I'm not 25. So I'm setting a budget that isn't in line with the reality. And so then that's ultimately setting you up for failure, because then you really don't know what you have. So I think what you said, Yolanda, was so critical about, you got to look at your spending and you got to see where you're spending it at, so you can start a new roadmap. So if you've been falling off your budget, things been looking crazy, sketchy, start over by going and looking at what you've been spending, what auto pays you, because sometimes you'll find you got an auto pay you're not even using. You got 2 Netflix accounts, 4 Amazons in the house. You got Spotify over here, and you got Apple Music over here. You got all of this stuff everywhere, and you're not paying attention to what you have because it's just coming out. But if you take the time to look at it, I do that every quarter. Take a second, just look at everything. And I always find things that are like, why do we we're not using it anymore. So let's toss that out, or we're not doing this anymore. So sometimes you got to stop and look at it and make sure, because you'll be saying, we only spend $200 a month on groceries, and you spending $1,000 on groceries. But you keep saying that. So you're setting yourself up, and you can't figure out why you can't get your bills in. So that requires discipline and delayed gratification to identify where you really, really are. All right, let's go to Finetta.
Hello, everybody. Well, I feel so nervous talking, right? So yes, we are above our means, like living above our means. And I believe the question that you asked when I raised my hand was, when you look at it, what did you see and why? Initially, when we were married, you know how you want your children to be at a certain school and things of that sort. And I was just like, no. And my husband and I, we decided not to purchase at that time and put our oldest daughter, in private school. Now that private school ended up being crazy. It was more than our rent. And it was a sacrifice for us. And just kind of having that framework, like, I want what I want for my family. And that's like your emotions and things that you said. If we were properly planned, we would have rented in a neighborhood that had a great school district and things of that sort. It just continued and continued and continued. And now you fast forward, I don't even know, we've been married for almost 16 years. We're still in that place. And the monthly amount is so much larger. Again, we have 5 children, and now it's like you're paying for multiple, and you want to live in a certain neighborhood. And so it's just like you keep spending, like you were saying, the more money that you make, it's just like more is going out. So I just was like I said last time when I came to the church, I was just really asking God and telling him like I need to have borders and boundaries, which we created, and emotion happened, and you just sometimes fly past those things. But I end up writing some things down that you were talking about. So I was already on the path. So I just literally found out that you can download your spending from your bank account. And so I started downloading it from my bank account in a spreadsheet, which I have to do again because it's a new month. And I'm categorizing it. So the sheet that you gave today with the percentage, I'm going to complete this is my homework I wrote for myself. I'm going to complete my spreadsheet, and I'm going to do the percentages from what we're already spending based off of the categories that you showed, and just kind of go over that with my husband. And I just wrote like I have tons of notes.
Yeah, you're making a great point. I think one of the things we had to do one time was we actually, you're making a great point. Like, it's that moment where you take action and you say, like, we made a decision with our kids. Same thing, like, okay, we want them in a certain school district, but it was like, but right now, we're going to have to love on this 3-bedroom, even though it's 5 of us, because we can't do 4 bedrooms right now. So we did it smaller and it was tighter. And then eventually, as things that then we were able to move into something bigger than that, but still get the neighborhood. So it's almost like it's the discipline and the delayed gratification that we'll have, and we find ways to do it because your kids' schooling is really important. Where you put them in school, and that was one of the reasons we moved where we live now is because of the school district for our kids. We said, okay, if we do private school, we're not gonna be, that's gonna be way too much for us. Let's do something that brings that down, but then it still couldn't be that we wanted it to be. It still had to be a little more concentrated at that time than what we wanted while we establish these things. So like you said, you go through, you see where you can make changes and make sacrifices to get in there. And again, all of this is everything we talk about is temporary stuff other than, continuing to steward and monitor our finances. So I think what you said, Fanetta, is really good. We just got to keep it in our mind that what we do is temporary. None of it is permanent. It's only for where we are now. We're not always going to be here. If you think about the money you made last year, I guarantee you probably made more this year. You got a 3% raise in your job, or you made more money in your business. The key is when we make it, we cannot continue to increase our revenues. Yes, go ahead, Fanetta.
I also wrote this down because just like everybody else, giving, and when you said that at church, you have to have an amount for giving. I was asking, why wasn't I stopping it? And one of the things, I know this may sound crazy, the scripture, like God will supply all my needs. Sometimes when you talk to people, it's like they didn't have the faith for what they needed. And it was like, okay, well, let me just go ahead and give them this. And then I know God is going to take care of us. And so it was like I was using the scripture wrong because we're not God. And whatever God was trying to do in their life, I can be stopping that. So that was one of the things, like we've slowed down, but it's still a lot. So that's one of the main things that I'm going to do is just make sure that I have borders and boundaries and a percentage right there and get a proper understanding of, what God means through the scriptures and not using the scriptures to kind of bend it just to help somebody else out.
I think that's excellent because one of the things it talks about is sowing seeds in good soil. And, just because somebody has a need doesn't mean it's good soil. So I think you're making a good point because it depends on if that's what God wants you to do, because sometimes he will have us do that. But all of that, at time, most of the time it's going to be within budget. Kevin.
Hey, Pastor, what's going on?
Hey.
I wanted to say, yeah, this is pretty good. It's crazy how God works because this month I was before you even came with the lesson plan, I should say. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get my finances in order. I'm gonna make sure they're really good because they kind of got off. So I'm like, man, I got to get them back right. I kind of slacked off, wasn't really checking it. So this month I'm like, I'm hitting it on, I'm watching it. Every day I'm going into this banking app and I'm gonna check this boy like I check social media.
That's good.
When I'm off work, right? So make sure I look at my habits, make sure I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. But it got me thinking, since I work in tech and we doing all futuristic stuff, I took your advice on the percentages and I put it in Chat GPT and told it like, all right, this is how much I make. These are the percentages of what you just said in class today. And it broke down how much I need to have in each budget. And I looked at it, I'm like, no, hold on, wait a minute. This can't be it. Because I've been trying to figure this number out for a minute. Right. And it figured it out. So I suggest if people know how to use ChatGPT,
That's a good idea.
leverage some ideas. And I even did this for like my retirement, because sometimes I try to look at the future and say, man, how much money I want for my future, like yearly, how much money I want to be bringing in. So I told ChatGPT, hey, this is how much money I want to be making around every year. How much does my nest egg gotta be? And it gave me a number that I did not realize that number needed to be that big. So then I'm like, all right, well, how do I get that number? And I start asking it, hey, how much do I need to save every month? Or if I invested on a 6% or 7% return, how much would that be? Because I always like looking at, sometimes when we be saving, you don't see results right away. So I feel like you ain't doing nothing. Like when you taking all these hits or saying, depriving yourself, you don't see the direct correlation. So I like to see like the results up front. So it's good to like use Chat GPT with the free technology that they have, and it'll look in the future for you. And now you get to see like, oh, I can save $30 or $50 or $200, and it'll do all the fancy stuff and show you like that's how you're gonna get to this 2 million, that 3 million, 4 million.
That's so true.
And you can just keep adding wild cards and it'll keep figuring it out. And the more it looks more realistic, the more you start building up your faith, the more you keep looking at like, I can really pull this off. You start figuring out how little to trick to like do extra things. How much can I save? Make that go faster. Like I told it, how much could I do this in a lesser time? How would that look? So it just kind of put my life in a broader perspective. Like when I get ready to start buying a new iPhone, because they just about to get ready and drop one, I say, yeah, you know what? I might not be giving, them no money right now. I'm gonna stick.
That's a good point that you're making, though, when you talk about thinking about it, because when you start thinking about it, like we sat down and we were like, okay, this is where we are, this is where we want to be, this is how we want to retire, and he gave us that number. I said, oh. And so what it does is it puts weight on you, because it makes you think about everything you do right now, because this number that you said you wanted to do is like in your head now, this figure. The other cool thing too, you can use Chat GPT. You can talk to an advisor. They're not that expensive to meet with you one time. Run your numbers. You tell them how you want to live, what your upcoming expenses are, all your things. And they'll tell you based on that, this how much it's going to cost you. You're going to need X, Y, and Z set aside, or you're going to need this much in rental properties to give you this much. You're going to need that. And can help you get, and when you get that, to your point, Kevin, it broadens your thinking about the money that you make right now. It starts to stretch your thinking to say, wait a minute, like you said, now I'm gonna keep this iPhone, I'm gonna put that money over here in my index fund, because index funds, which we're gonna get to in a couple of weeks, you're gonna see there are some that say this is for retirement in 2040. This is for retirement in 2036. This is for this. And then if you get with someone and find out all that stuff, then you actually have a real plan. I think sometimes we talk about, I'm retiring at 44, but you ain't got no plan to retire at 44. You're just saying you're retiring, but you're not moving in that direction, or it's more so talking than actually having something you can actually take action on. So I love what you said about using ChatGPT. Find ways to get the real numbers, because it'll help you think further out about your current finances, because just like Elder Yolanda said, it's $41 a day is $10,000. You could take that same $41 and put it in an index fund and let compounded interest work for you over that 12 months.
Yeah.
So you've got a lot of things you can do that are small, and we say we can't, but we can with what we have. So I love what you said about seeing the big picture. And then all you got to do after that is stay the course, set it and forget it. Don't even come back to it and think about it. Don't even bother it. That's what I do. I just set stuff and forget it. So I think that's excellent. Deaconess Deej.
Hey, this is oh, it's an echo. My husband. Hold on. This is really, really good. But I just wanted to say two things. Number one, auto bill pay. I'm not crazy about it when it comes to like other what do you say? Like the company you're paying. So I don't put my bills on there because I've seen them do unstable things. And I think we maybe have like one thing that we maybe like State Farm or something. But most of us have major banks, and your bank has an app, and you can just do all your auto bill pay there. So even the stuff that's not auto pay, it's already saved on there for me. So I can just go in there and click and pay, click and pay, click and pay. So you can tell it when it come out. You can tell it like God forbid something happens, you ain't got enough money to pay for your full tires. You can stop a payment on something as opposed to like calling a company like, can you stop the payment? They ain't stopping nothing. They're not. They're just never gonna do that. So I think the auto pay is a really good, it saved me a billion times. And the other part I wanted to say, just my truth, is that budgeting, it's like deliverance. And that's what I have to, that's the realization that I'm in, is because you know how you get free from something and you're feeling good and free for a while, and then there's another level of discomfort because God wants you to get free from another thing. Because if he delivered you from everything at once, then you would combust. Like you would literally blow up because you can't handle it all at once. So once you're in a free place, here comes this another level of budgeting, or this another level of breakthrough because of another place he's trying to get you. So I've done the thing of like, you get a savings account, or you have something automatically go in, and I thought I was rolling, baby. I knew how to save a few dollars, but then God called for more sacrifice. Like, well, you're still mismanaging this part of your money, or this part is controlled by your emotions. Or for those of us that are married, you still need to yield like certain trust, or certain, like, let your husband go ahead, let him take the risk, just so I just want to say that budgeting is so much like deliverance. Stay the course. We're in it together. If you're on your new level of deliverance, I'm in there with you. We're in the fight together. Okay, guys? Okay, bye-bye, everybody. Good night. But I'm going to stay on, but good night. Okay.
No, totally. I think you're making a great point, because it does require. That's why I love what the Bible says, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be also. If you look at your bank account, it tells you where your heart is, where your treasure is, what you value, what you don't value, what you're not thinking about, what is priority, what's not priority. And it is factual. So I love what you said about that. I think it's really important that we keep all of that in mind. So think about these two things. I left these on the screen because these are your wealth builders. But without them, if you lack discipline, that is going to kill your budget and your opportunity to build wealth every time. If you battle and give in to instant gratification, it's going to kill your budget and your wealth every time. Sometimes it's so much information out here. We have so much access to stuff. It's not a issue of access. It's these two things. It's discipline and delayed gratification. Yes, I'm doing good. No, I'm not paycheck to paycheck, but that does not mean that I can have this right now. Was this in the plan? Did I think about it? Did I save up? Did I prepare for it? Right? That's the main thing we want to think about. I love this verse, and we're closing out here. Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead to profit as surely as haste leads to poverty. Most of the time we're making emotional decisions, they're hasty. If you sit with it some and think about it, I guarantee you eventually that emotion is going to fade, right? You're going to let go of the anxiousness after a while. But if you rush and do it, you keep leading yourself to poverty, meaning your money is not stretching, it's not working the way it's supposed to. So it says the plans, you hear the words plan, budget, plan, strategy of the diligent. And what does it mean to be diligent? You got to keep at it. Keep going. Diligent is almost like endurance. You're going to keep going, keep working on it. Lead to profit. meaning you're achieving goals. You're above. You're not paycheck to paycheck anymore. As surely as haste leads to profit, most decisions that we make where we are making bad calls, we rushing to do them. We just, come on, let's just go this weekend. We just gonna go hang out. That was not in your budget. You ain't had no plan to hang. Y'all just hung out last week, and you hung out on Thursday, and y'all hung out on Friday. Saturday was not in the budget. Everybody got to stay at the house today. We just got to look out the window together, find some rerun movie, we watch it, popcorn, and sit on the couch. Long as we together, that's what matters, right? But sometimes when we're making hasty moves, we don't realize it, and next thing you know, we paycheck to paycheck again, and we feel like we had to do it, had to have it, had to go, had to spend that much money. You ever got somewhere and you said you're gonna spend 20, but you spent 60? Hasty decisions, So we got to keep working on it. So I hope that this has been helpful as we end out our chapter today. I hope you got something that you can use. Thank you to everyone who offered suggestions, gave some tips. This was an amazing Bible class. So I hope you got something you can use. You all have an amazing night. And I want to encourage you to take some of these things and put them in practice in your life. All right. I'm glad this has been great. We will see you guys on Sunday at service. You all have a wonderful night. Goodbye. See you guys.